There is a significant amount of people around the world that don't understand or refuse to believe anyone can be a leader. There is no single answer to the question, what is leadership, because it is a powerful skill that can be developed over time rather than something you are born with. Great leaders do not fit into a single mold or personality type. In fact, you've probably assumed leadership roles in your life without realizing it. So, what exactly makes a great leader? And how can you fine-tune those skills and put them to use in your career and life? To properly solve this question, you must first know that leadership is the ability to motivate a group to achieve a common goal. Leadership is typically discussed in the context of business, but it also refers to how you, as an individual, choose to live your life. Leadership is defined as influencing, inspiring, and assisting others in becoming their best selves while developing skills and achieving goals. A leader does not necessarily have to be a CEO, manager, or even a team leader. Leaders, especially within a company or organization, should be transparent, compassionate, inspirational, humble, decisive, forwardly thinking, and great at communicating. Transparency entails being honest and open in sharing necessary information with others. Transparency with your team includes informing them about changes in company procedures, branch closures, or budget cuts. This can also apply when a manager or supervisor gives an employee honest feedback on their job performance and areas for improvement. Transparency is essential because it helps employees understand the company, the reasoning behind decisions, and what they need to work on within their role to better themselves and the company. Second, a great leader is compassionate, which means that they treat their employees as fellow human beings and assist them in making work schedule adjustments during conflicts. Compassion is an important leadership quality because it makes employees feel valued and understood at work. This can instill respect in the employee for their employer, motivating the employee to do good work for their boss. Third, a great leader should be inspirational. Being inspirational means being able to demonstrate hard work, positivity, and a desire for knowledge, which inspires others to do the same. A good leader must be inspirational because their work, dedication, and attitudes can motivate their employees. Similarly, a leader who is not hardworking, dedicated, or positive may cause employees to share opposite viewpoints, reducing productivity and workplace culture. Fourth, great leaders should be humble. Being humble entails that the leader treats each employee as an equal, does not brag about their accomplishments, and instead attributes good business results to the collective effort of their team. It is important for a leader to be humble because it increases respect on the part of their employees and encourages the entire team to be humble as well. Fifth, all great leaders must execute forward thinking. A forward-thinking attitude is an extremely admirable quality in a good leader. This means that the leader is always concerned with how current company actions affect the company's future. This also implies that they are proactive in developing new training programs, investing in new technology, or adapting their business model to deal with anticipated industry changes. A forward-thinking leader assists the company in adapting to change and identifying ways to improve both internal and external processes. Sixth, a great leader must become good at communication. A good leader communicates effectively with their employees, which means they are proficient in verbal, nonverbal, and written communication. They should be able to communicate important ideas to their employees through public speaking while being able to listen to their complaints and ideas. Leaders must communicate effectively because this determines whether or not employees have clear instructions on how to navigate a project or procedure. As a result, a communicative leader reduces miscommunication and promotes company productivity. Lastly, a great leader must display decisiveness. A leader who is decisive makes rational decisions that benefit the company, usually within a specific time frame. Decisive leaders are influential because they help guide their company through times of change and also provide solutions for their employees in need. Here are some other effective ways to understand exactly what leadership is. A leader is someone who successfully marshals his human collaborators to achieve specific goals. A great leader is one who can do so in a variety of situations day after day, year after year. He may not wield or display power, and he may never use force or the threat of harm in his dealings. He may not be popular, and his followers may never do what he wishes for him out of love or admiration, but he will always stand up for himself and his team. A great leader will always lead by example and be on the front line when it comes to taking on new tasks. Difficulties you may face as a leader. It is simple to state in a few words what successful leaders do to be effective. However, determining the factors that determine their success is much more difficult. The typical method is to provide adequate recognition of each worker's function so that he can anticipate the satisfaction of some major interest or motive of his in the group enterprise's execution. Crude forms of leadership are based solely on single sources of satisfaction, such as monetary rewards or the alleviation of various types of insecurity. The task is completed because following orders results in a paycheck and deviating results in unemployment. No one can deny that such forms of motivation are effective within certain parameters. They do, in a mechanical way, link the worker's self-interest to the interest of the employer or the group. But no one can deny that such simple techniques have flaws. Humans are not machines with a single set of buttons to press. When their complex reactions to love, prestige, independence, achievement, and group membership go unnoticed at work, they perform at best as constructs who bring far less than their maximum efficiency to the task, and at worst as rebellious slaves who consciously or unconsciously sabotage the activities they are supposed to be advancing. Someone has to be the boss, we've all heard, and I doubt anyone would seriously disagree. However, it is dangerous to confuse the chain of command or organizational table with a method of getting things done. It is more similar to a football play diagram, which shows the overall plan and how each individual contributes to it. The diagram does not represent leadership. It has no bearing on how well the play will be executed in and of itself. However, the issue of effective execution is a leadership issue. Rewards and threats may help each player carry out his or her assignment, but in the long run, if success and morale are to be maintained, each player must not only fully understand his or her role and its relationship to the group effort, they must also want to carry it out. Every leader's problem is to create these desires and to find ways to channel existing desires into effective cooperation. Effectively building relationships with people. When the leader succeeds, it is because he has learned two fundamental lessons: people are complex and unique. Everyone has a different response not only to the traditional carrot and stick used by a donkey driver, but also to ambition, patriotism, love of the good and beautiful, boredom, self-doubt, and many other dimensions and patterns of thought and feeling that define them as human beings. However, the strength and importance of these interests differ for each worker, as does the degree to which they can be satisfied in his or her job. For example, one man may be defined primarily by a strong religious need, but this fact may be completely irrelevant to his daily work. Another person's main source of satisfaction may be solving intellectual problems, but he may never be led to discover how his love of chess problems and mathematical puzzles can be applied to his business. Another may require a friendly, admiring relationship that he does not have at home and be constantly frustrated by his superior's failure to recognize and capitalize on that need. To the extent that the leader's circumstances and skill allow him to respond to such individual patterns, he will be better able to generate genuine intrinsic interest in the work that he is tasked with completing. Finally, an ideal organization should have workers at every level reporting to someone whose dominion is small enough for him to recognize those who report to him. The Golden Rule's limits. Fortunately, the primary motivations of people who live in the same culture are frequently very similar, and there are some general motivational rules that work extremely well. A good example is Dale Carnegie's famous prescriptions in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Its central tenet is a twist on the golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated. While limited and oversimplified, such a rule is vastly superior to primitive coercive approaches or the straightforward reward for desired behavior approach. Leadership requires more subtlety and perceptiveness than the old saying, "Do as you would be done by." The person who leads us effectively must appear to understand our goals and objectives. He must appear to be able to satisfy them, he must appear to understand the consequences of his own actions, and he must appear to be consistent and clear in his decisions. The word "appear" is crucial here. The troubles of a subordinate. It may be as difficult for followers to recognize their leader as he truly is for him to fully comprehend them. Some of the most difficult issues in superior-subordinate relationships stem from misperceiving reality. So much of what we understand about the world around us is colored by our preconceived notions and prejudices. For one thing, it's more difficult to take orders from someone you don't regard as superior. One of the most heartbreaking failures in practical leadership is the executive who tries so hard to be one of the boys that he destroys any remaining awe that his employees may have had for him, as a result of which they begin to see him as a man like themselves and wonder why they should take orders from him. An understanding leader will not give the impression that he regards his employees as inferiors, but he may be wise to keep a psychological distance that allows them to accept his authority without resentment. It is pointless to pretend that subordinates can make decisions when they cannot. To make dependency tolerable, clear lines must be drawn between decisions that are the superior's prerogative and those that can be made by or in consultation with the subordinate. Once those lines have been drawn, it is critical not to cross them more frequently than absolutely necessary.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this.